Welcome to the Game Professors Podcast, where the students have taken over and we profess our love and hate for all things video games. For today, in our lecture lowdown, we've got some discussion about Judas, a new Ken Levine game, famously the Bioshock series. And GPU prices are no longer constrained. Hasbro's getting sued for printing cards. Ubisoft restructure, surprise, they still have problems. Game Freak changes it up from their usual Pokemon catalog. The UK is suing Steam/Valve for monopoly. I've heard that discussion somewhere. And Highguard did come out. So we'll chat about that a little bit. Along with some smaller stories. And before we get into that, I did see today that people were getting in trouble because of a couple things. One of them was they were legitimately trying to create fake ID badges and get into Rockstar Studios to see GTA stuff.
Bro, the things that fans will do.
Yeah, like, I mean, did they think they were Agent 47 or something? They played video games and thought they could just knock some guy out. Have a fake ID badge, put on a uniform, and get right in. Oh, man. I mean, I have seen videos where if you have a uniform and enough confidence that you can just kind of socially engineer your way into places, but I doubt any of these people are those people.
Oh, I've seen that kind of stuff at places that I've worked. It's insane.
Yeah. I mean, have you seen the video? It's a famous video where these guys put on the orange security vests and they're carrying a ladder and go to various places, and they always get in because people just usher them in, and then they pushed their luck, but it worked and they straight up got into Disneyland.
That's hilarious.
Just a ladder and orange vests and the confidence. Anyways, that wasn't the only thing they tried. They also were using drones to go up to the outside of the building to try to spy in to see what was happening on the computers through the cameras on the drones.
Oh my god.
Again, I would argue this time they played a little too much Watch Dogs, would be my guess, in a little bit of irony.
Yep, that's for sure.
Yeah, so, A, don't do any of that stuff. You're just gonna get yourself in trouble. And B, man, if somebody doesn't know a drone just hovering right outside their window on the floor, then I guess that's on them.
I think
just
people forget.
Is that a drone? Windows lock. What is happening?
Yeah, I think people fail to realize oftentimes that drones are not very quiet.
No.
So, like, if one's flying up above you, yeah, like if someone's walking into the building and they just see it flying up above them or hear it flying up above them, they're gonna tell security.
Yeah. I mean, outside your office windows, you can still hear sirens. Like, if there's a drone outside your office window, you're definitely gonna hear it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Silliness. Ridiculous and silliness. I also don't understand it. Like, I've been really excited about stuff, right? Like, if there's leaks, you get really excited about seeing something. But I don't think I've ever been so excited to do a thing that just being able to get a glimpse of that thing, regardless of the consequences. I just, okay, you're going to risk trespassing just to see GTA? Because you're not going to get to play it. It's not like you're going to get into the building, get to the floor, and then walk up to somebody and be like, oh yeah, can I do some QA testing? I'm a random dude that's gotten into the building. I'm from HR. You don't know me, but let me, play the game. Like, none of that's going to happen. At most, you're going to be able to see something and then get carted off.
If not thrown in jail.
Yeah. So, like,
for trespassing.
Just seems like a little much for very little reward.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
And not to mention, like, spoiling yourself, too.
Yeah. You're not wrong. You're just ruining for yourself. You don't just wait and experience the game. I mean, that's the thing about me. Like, I'm not playing it on console, so I'm gonna have to try to like avoid general big spoilers for a year or two until they decide to ordain us on PC with the game.
Yeah, pretty much.
Alrighty. Well, a follow up from last week, because I believe I mentioned Microsoft CEO's Nadella's comments on AI and the social permission. Specifically, at the World Economic Forum in Davos, he said, quote, "The zeitgeist is a little bit about the admiration for AI in its abstract form or as technology, but I think we as a global community have to get on point where we are using it to do something that changes the outcomes of people and committees and countries and industries. Otherwise, I don't think this makes much sense, right? In fact, I would like to say we quickly lose even the social permission to actually take something like energy, which is a scarce resource, and use it to generate these tokens. If these tokens are not improving health outcomes, education outcomes, public sector efficiency, private sector competitiveness across all sectors, small and large, right? And to me, that is ultimately the goal. And to be clear here, the tokens are referring to basically like, society passes. Okay, we forgive this because you're doing this thing, is what he's referring to here.
Yeah.
And, I mean, at just the comment itself taken at face value, I mean, yeah. If you don't start doing something with this and this just ends up being a fun thing, well, sure, people like using AI to shorten the amount of busy work they have to do, but it also means that having hundreds of them is not going, hundreds of data centers just doing AI is not going to cut it. People aren't going to be happy with that if that's the only thing.
Right. And to be honest with you, if that is the only thing, you can just get an old GPU to do exactly that.
True. I mean, training on the large data set, maybe not as much.
Sure, but you can purchase that.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. You can do your own LLM at home as long as you got a GPU. Which I don't think I put it on here, but with AMD's CES announcement, a lot of their product lineup was focused on data center and AI heavy stuff, banking on the fact that people are going to want to do something like that rather than focusing on the raw power available to them. We'll see if that ends up being the case. I think thinking the majority of people are going to do their own language learning models at home is a bad thing to bank on.
100%.
Well, that's me personally.
That's a lot of extra work that people need to be able to, or be willing to put in just for that, right? And to be honest with you, given the fact that, I don't know what the percentage is, but a large majority of people, at least in the United States, live in apartment complexes. Show me the space that I have in my 2-bedroom apartment for a third computer. Like, it doesn't really exist.
I mean, can you afford the RAM now for the third computer?
No. But I have spare RAM that's sitting around doing nothing.
Do you have spare DDR5 RAM? Or DDR4?
I don't think it's DDR5. I think it's 4.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's funny you say that, because I'm just going to skip past this one thing, and we're going to go right into down a little lower here. DDR4 market crisis. Maybe you should try to sell that DDR4 that you have sitting around, because prices have actually surged for DDR4 in January. Apparently, like 172% higher than established prices.
Jeez. I don't even know if the RAM works. That would be the important part.
I mean, I have some, and I do plan on selling mine. And we mentioned this before, but a lot of companies have been saying, hey, DDR4 exists. If you want to do an AM4 or older Intel processor, maybe you should go do that. Well, it scared enough people that yeah, like new kits of 32 gigs DDR4 went from like $72 to $263.
Jeez.
Which, I mean, that's technically what, like 50 to 60% of the cost of DDR5 right now, so it
Yeah.
is cheaper, which is obnoxious. So, oh man.
It's stupid.
Yeah. And it's not like it's the thing that's being massively produced either. So it was never going to be in large supply unless some of the rumors of increased DDR4 manufacturing ends up being true. I highly doubt they're going to ramp it up enough. But yeah, so that's kind of what you're looking at. It's ridiculous. On the note, this is obviously caused by DDR5 prices increasing heavily. People have noticed that Costco, in their displays, have actually started removing the RAM kits from the display computers that are on the shelves so that
probably
they
smart of
don't
them.
get stolen.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely smart.
Which is funny, because I believe we talked about it a few courses ago about a theft where they only stole the RAM. You know it's getting bad when they're only stealing the RAM. And so they're literally taking it out of display computers.
Uh,
I mean, are we gonna get to the point where you have a fake all-in-one or a pre-built that's on the shelf so that no one steals it and it looks fancy?
Probably.
Man. Alrighty. Since we're here, I'll go into this next story and we'll go back up. But we did mention a little while back, so this is kind of a follow-up, that the rumor was that NVIDIA was actually somewhat subsidizing prices and keeping prices lower. Turns out that was true. It's not true anymore, but at the time it was true, as NVIDIA has essentially opened Pandora's box, released the beast, whatever you want to call it, as they have ended its open price program, aka OPP, which was a move confirmed by multiple industry insiders, Roman DeBauer, Hartung, Hardware Lux. And it was basically a subsidy program where NVIDIA provided financial support to for price offsets on add-in card partners, i.e., for example, Asus, MSI, Gigabyte, to help them list specific custom GPU models at or around a specific MSRP price. So, that was true. They were subsidizing card prices and keeping them low, and now they aren't.
Weird.
Oh, yeah. If that was low prices, bro.
Yep. Pretty much.
Oh man,
It's gonna skyrocket.
Oh, it's already happening.
Yeah.
So, and this comes on the heels of them not even selling the GPU die with memory bundles either. So, like, these board partners are legitimately going out and buying the RAM at the super high prices to put into these cards. And so MSRP is no longer going to exist. You're seeing it essentially on the lower end model in the TI lineups. Well, actually, you're seeing it across the board, but some of the worst hit are going to be those lower end cards. You're seeing like 50, 60 cards go up to to like $700. A 50, 60. Like $700. That is ridiculous. And this comes on the heels of the rumor that certain models were EOL and products with that model is EOL or end of life. And it's now looking like that, yeah, some of those board partners are probably going to retire some of the TI models because they're going to cost more because they have the larger amount of memory in them.
Yeah.
And if the margin isn't there, then why manufacture it? Because if you're going to have to build it and it's going to cost within $100 of a 5080,
just build the 5080.
Yeah, just build the 5080. And if you're a consumer, if a 5070 Ti is within $100 of the 5080, I'm going to tell you, save your money and buy the 5080 anyways.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100%. Well, really, I would just recommend not buying a card right now.
No, it's well, if you can find one for what MSRP was, then maybe you buy one now. But if you've already missed that boat or nothing shows up, then yeah, you may have to wait until the bubble bursts. I didn't add it on here, but it does look like the reports of memory prices plateauing, at least for now. Not coming down, but at least not necessarily getting crazy higher for the moment. So we'll see if it stays at an equilibrium where it's at for a while, or if it ends up going up again.
Is that largely because people have just stopped buying, though?
Yeah. Supply and demand, right? The supply hasn't changed. It's still very low, i.e. getting worse. But yeah, you can't continue to raise prices if no one's buying it. And if no one's buying it, technically there'll end up being more supply because more people aren't buying it. So it ends up being an equilibrium. So we'll see what happens there. On that note, OTAC in a bit of hot water as another board partner that we didn't mention earlier, which reportedly canceled a significant number of RTX 5090 purchases placed through their official website, and then immediately relisted those models like 20% higher, so like $500 or more. Now, Zotac claims it was a system error. However, they were listed for that price. So it's not like they were listed higher, then listed lower, and then canceled the orders and then relisted them at that price. No, that was their price. Then they canceled them, and now they're at a newer, higher price. So I'm calling BS from my point of view. To be clear here, I don't believe in the haha I gotcha consumer mentality where if something's posted at a price error that you're automatically entitled to whatever that price error is. Now, if it's obviously not something ridiculous, I do think good companies will honor at least reasonable purchase of that. Like if someone went and bought 50 cards, like I'm not honoring that. But if a couple people went and bought, a couple cards because it was 10% cheaper by accident, then, a good company will honor that. But, price errors happen, human errors happen. I don't think there's some gotcha where it's like, you have to do it. This $1,000 thing you listed for $1, you have to sell it to me. Like, I don't think anyone's entitled to that.
It's entirely going to be based on like company policy. There are absolutely companies out there who their policy is that if it rings up, like at like a Home Depot or something, right? If it rings up, regardless of what the price is, you have the right to buy it. So there are a bunch of people who scan a bunch of crap at Home Depot to see if it goes for 1 cent.
That's company policy, not an actual right.
Correct.
So, if it happens, it happens. I don't think that's this case. If your card, which you can see the history of these items and what they were priced at, so it's not like the evidence isn't there, was priced at $2,300. A bunch of people go in and buy price cards because they see the price going up, and then you go, oh no, and cancel it and relist it for $2,800. No, that's a BS move, man.
Yeah, 100%.
Like that one I do not agree with at all. That's no human error. That's no accident. That's you being lazy and management not understanding what's happening and keeping an eye on your own prices. Well, just know that if you're buying a card from Zotac, unless it's the higher price, they may not honor that purchase.
Oh, man.
All right, one more article in our kind of intro announcements here. Judas, an upcoming Ken Levine project. I already said earlier of the BioShock fame. Did you ever play the BioShock games?
I've played a few of them.
So, did you play them before everything was spoiled? Like, did you go through without knowing what the story would be?
Yes. To be clear, they were well and truly spoiled to the general public, but I don't pay attention to that in general.
I mean, fair. So, spoilers for a very old game coming up, so I don't think it really should matter, but just in case. One of my favorite experiences in my gaming life was the first BioShock game, At the time looked amazing. Still looks pretty good to this day, but at the time was cutting edge. Wonderful narrative story. And as you go through the game, it was one of those games that really pioneered, which everyone now does, pioneered the like audio tapes, where you would find story by finding audio tapes of that were recorded when things happened and went down. So you would get pieces of the story through audio tapes. And with those tapes, along with the communications from someone who was supposedly assisting you, you would always hear, "Would you kindly?" Or the request always came in, "Would you go kindly investigate this? Would you kindly go look into this event? Would you kindly go to this area?" Now, especially at that time, for most gamers, it was just like, "Oh yeah, it's the line of the character." You know, the formula is X NPC tells me to do a thing, I go do the thing. That's just how it is. That's how life is. And then it is revealed that was actually a command word phrase. The "would you kindly," you could not disobey. It was subliminal brainwashing. You find out in-game, in a story, as you come up on a wall and you have flashbacks. And I'm not going to lie, in real life, I legitimately thought back to a few instances of him saying that and asking me to do a thing. And so the whole story is based around the fact that you're basically a sleeper agent who was brainwashed into doing all this stuff by the actual bad guy. And that's
hilarious.
Right? It was one of my favorite narrative moments in gaming that stuck with me. And so I am a big fan of Ken Levine projects. If he can do something unique, there were plenty of unique moments in BioShock Infinite as well. Didn't stick with me as much, but still plenty of unique moments. A lot of kind of screenshots and clips still come out because of how the unique setting for that game. So I look forward to a project called Judas, which he describes the game as an immersive Judas simulator rather than a standard first-person shooter. And it's going to be the BioShock kind of feel of game, where it's first person, you get the narrative through the first person, you're going to have weapons that are both projectile weapons, melee weapons, and then magic in the other hand. So if you played any of the BioShock games, you're getting that type of combat again. I do think the story here the setting sounds very interesting, and we'll get into kind of some of the elements that could be really unique. So it takes place aboard the Mayflower, which is a massive generational colony ship that's en route to a new planet. The ship itself serves as a the historical document from history, and the player takes on the role of Judas, which is a brilliant technologist and a violator after revealing that the ship's leadership were secretly robots. And Judas sparks a revolution, and he has died. And then, just like the gimmick in BioShock, he is reprinted. This time it's rather than a built-in infrastructure in like Infinite and BioShock, this is going to be like because the AI deemed it to happen. So I'm sure you'll go get a bunch of story for that. There's going to be 3 big faction leaders. Sheriff Tom Austin, who is obviously security and order. Dr. Nefriti Okeke, or Kiki, health and survival of the passengers kind of officer. And then Hope Jimenez, a social and emotional well-being officer. Now, there's supposedly going to be a villainy system. And all these NPCs are going to have like supposedly real life dynamics and mimic complex relationship type of stuff, and the NPCs can repeatedly shift their affinity towards the player depending on what the player does. So to me, this sounds like a version of AI implementation that you and I have discussed, where the game itself, and in this case the NPCs, actually react to the player's actions and will change the story accordingly.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of the thing that I think most of us have wanted from AI. You know, having read plenty of books where there's like an MMO that is ran by like some superpowered AI. Like that's the kind of thing that I think a lot of people are really looking to get out of AI in the gaming space. And
Yeah, 'cause you
instead we're
can
getting
get
fake
a
frames.
unique experience.
Yeah.
Wait, instead of what? What did you say?
Instead we're getting fake frames.
Yeah. Wow. You know. Any yeah, oh my goodness. Yeah, pretty much. Apparently they've been working on it for 5 years on this specific mechanic of the NPCs having persistent awareness and reacting to the player's actions. So, Ken Levine has said that it will be impossible to satisfy each faction, which I'll be interesting to see if some players figure out how to make it possible, whether through glitch or actual, unique playing of the game. Because if it's as sophisticated as they're saying, I gotta imagine that there's some way to figure it out. But, it's also interesting to not have that be possible and to agonize over the choices that you make and have them actually be meaningful. I mean, that's the problem that most of us have in a lot of narrative RPGs is no matter which decisions I make, no matter which branch I take, usually they always circle back to the main story branch no matter what you do. And that's just for practical purposes, as human beings can only build out so much story. But kind of disappointed. So it'd be nice if this thing actually makes a difference.
Think of 2 games that I've played that didn't do that. That's namely Detroit Become Human and Nier Automata.
Yes, but they do have a specific set of endings.
Yeah, what is it, like
And like
30?
Right, yeah. And even though Detroit Become Human is more of a narrative experience than Nier Automata is, there was some cool stuff in Nier Automata, but it's not the same type of experience. I would argue that it was more of a choose your own adventure game.
Yeah, agreed.
As opposed to like a Mass Effect or Final Fantasy or Skyrim type of, full-on RPG. But they do exist. There's a couple examples that do exist. But if we could get a in-depth, full combat style narrative RPG with these branching elements that lead to an ending, it's vastly different. I mean, if there's legitimately hundreds of different types of endings, that would be awesome. Because then you can actually talk to your friends and compare.
You know my biggest concern about this particular game now?
Okay.
Is that they're going to take this high fidelity reactivity and then they're going to copyright it and then we won't get it for 50 years.
Look, I don't mind them copywriting it. It's them copywriting it and either A, not willing to do the license, or making the license so stupidly expensive that it practically is barring anyone from doing it, which I assume you're referring to a specific game mechanic that's been done with.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Because, I mean, there are plenty out there, but namely the one from... Oh, God, I can't remember the name of it now. Orcs.
Middle Earth.
Thank you. Yeah.
Shadow of War.
Yeah, thank you.
Shadow of Mordor. Well, there's 2, right? Shadow of
there
Mordor,
are 2.
Shadow of War.
They did use it again.
It was the Nemesis system.
Yeah, thank you.
So, yeah, I mean, so when I saw this, I actually thought of that. And I love that something new is being made and tried. I get sick, even if you can give me a new story at the end of the day, if it's still the same base experience with just a different story, like, cool, that can be interesting. But one of the things that I loved was that Nemesis system that was so unique, that was something fresh, that made the game its own existence. And there's so many cool things that were done with it and that could have been done with it and never were. And if this type of system is successful, I can't wait to try the final product. Like, I am super excited for that. And B, considering It's apparently a self-published title by Ghost Story Games, which is his new studio, and is a kind of like EA partnership type of deal with Take-Two. I would hope that that means that his development studio remains in control of that technology rather
Hopefully.
than Take-Two. And I would hope, and I think from what I've seen of Ken Levine over the years, that this could be something that could be reasonably licensed out, which would be cool. That would be great. I'd be excited on that. Supposedly a potential release at the end of this year. However, if you know any of the history of development behind any of the BioShock games, I would bet against that happening. I'd put quite a lot of money on it rather than it actually coming out this year. But if it does, I'll be plenty surprised.
Indeed.
Alrighty. That's it for Lecture Lowdown. Let's get into some business and econ. Alright, business and econ, always in over our heads. But we're gonna talk about inflation and devaluing money. And what I mean by that is we have a great gamer through trading card game means example of why you shouldn't just print money. So, let's get into it. Hasbro shareholders actually sued the company as they are claiming that they are overprinting Magic the Gathering cards. So, a 76-page federal shareholder derivative lawsuit was filed on January 21st, 2026 in a U.S. district court. CEO against Hasbro and CEO Chris Cooks and former Wizard of the Coast president Cynthia Williams, along with other executives. They are being accused of breaching fiduciary duty, gross mismanagement, unjust enrichment, waste of corporate assets, abuse of control, and violations of Securities Exchange Act. So, other than who it was specifically brought by, what is happening is the lawsuit is alleging that leadership used a parachute strategy where they would parachute in extra Magic the Gathering sets, primarily low-cost reprint master sets, to generate emergency revenue and mask financial shortfalls in the company's struggling toy division. So, you following along? You understand what's happening here?
That is a hell of an accusation.
It definitely is. So, if anyone's not following along, essentially what has happened is Hasbro was having they weren't making their profits that they said they would make. They were coming up short on the books, so they wanted more money on the books. Well, they know they can get more money because a lot of Magic the Gathering cards have a specific rarity, meaning they have a specific value. So if they chose to print a couple specific sets, they know people would run out and buy them to try to get those cards that are rare, that people want, that have a limited number of. Which means the more you print, the more you put out into the market, the less valuable each card individually becomes, as there are now more of them. So, apparently shareholders spent approximately $125 million to repurchase 1.4 million shares of its own stock at artificially inflated prices between April and July 2022, alleging that the company overpaid roughly $55.9 million because the stock was buoyed by misleading Magic the Gathering growth. As in, they were putting out these sets knowing people would buy them because of their rarity, instead of printing and creating cards as they normally would, trying to get some short-term gains. So the company alleged that Hasbro faked out-of-stock messages for the controversial $1,000 30th anniversary edition to create artificial scarcity and hide the poor sales. The testimony from former employees suggests that unsold inventory was later disposed of in a Texas landfill. And the suit references a pivotal 2022 Bank of America report which warned that Hasbro was killing its golden goose by overproducing cards leading to the devaluation of collector sets and financial losses for local game stores. Basically, they printed money.
Yeah.
So, if anyone who does... Sorry, go on.
So, I mean, I'm not a trading card game player, right? And largely, part of the reason that I am not a trading card game player is how much fucking money you can put into it.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, any true trading card game at the end of the day is essentially gambling.
Yes.
You can play with those cards, and there's a game that exists that is fun. You can go do tournaments and all that kind of stuff. But the act of getting new cards, unless you're buying a card directly that's already been opened and someone's personally selling or a store's personally selling, any packs is essentially gambling. You're paying a certain amount of money, hoping to get high-value cards, of which the chances are very low.
Yeah, it's literally loot boxes in real life.
Yeah. I mean, that's where loot boxes came from, yeah.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, and for anyone who doesn't know, this is also why in real life you can't just print money. So, for example, the United States has a lot of debt. You can't just go print $100 bills enough to cover that debt, because if you printed all those bills, everybody else's money would become worthless, considering the amount of debt you would have to print to cover it. Just like if you have a certain amount of cards that exist in the wild, let's say there's only 8 of a specific rarity card, it's probably going to be worth a lot of money because there's only 8 of it. If Hasbro were to now suddenly print 100 of them and put them out into the wild, well, initially people would be spending a lot of money to get those cards, but as people realized that there was a way higher, or there was a lot more of them that existed in the wild, the price would start to plummet for those cards as they would be more widely available. It devalues each one that already exists.
So I understand that concept for money, right? Money is an actual thing that people invest in, right? And it's something that is protected by law. On the other hand, they have the right. Like, they can just print more of them. I think they should be forthright with it. And they should tell people, hey, this is what we're doing. But it's kind of the same thing going back to what Valve did with Counter-Strike stuff, right? Like, they can make that change at any point that they want to.
Absolutely.
That's why physical items, especially physical items that are easily mass-produced, you should not be using as an investment strategy.
You are 100% correct about not putting all your money in something that you don't control. Although it does lead to larger questions because you technically don't control the value of the dollar either.
It's true.
Anyways, that's a whole different discussion that is definitely way over our heads. But to your point, this valuable item controlled by a single company, definitely not necessarily the best investment strategy. Now, you brought up Valve, which I think is the important distinction here and why there is even a case to be filed. Because Valve is a private company. They aren't beholden to anybody. They're not trying to sell the value of their company. They can do whatever they want, and it doesn't matter if they increase the value of the company or not. They're not beholden to anybody. Hasbro is beholden to people. So, if they had, which it does look like it, had a specific market strategy where consumers had a specific expectation and the value of company was based off of consumer engagement of that expectation, and then you messed with that whole formula, which it does look like it says here that it was allegedly doubled during 2021 and 2023, you devalue the brand as a whole, meaning you keep the value of the company stable for a short period of time, but overall, to keep it stable for that short period of time, you are damaging the value of the company in the long term. which means you are essentially defrauding shareholders and investors, which is where this case is essentially coming from.
Yeah. No, that makes perfect sense. I'm not saying what they have done isn't grounds for a lawsuit. What I'm saying is, technically, they still can do it. They just probably need to get approval.
Yeah,
first.
I think I agree with you. I still think this lawsuit is an uphill battle because I do think you're right. They can print whatever they want. It depends on whether or not they were upfront with shareholders about what they were doing. Because if they weren't telling shareholders they were increasing that amount of production and giving them that information and making it seem like they were producing the same amount but getting all this extra money in the background, that's where the problem comes from.
Yeah. I did kind of feel like Magic the Gathering started coming out with more and more sets more frequently.
You were right.
and like, that's as somebody who just knows Magic the Gathering from friends and like streamers that I watch that play the game. And that's it. So if I can figure that out and just have an inkling of it, shareholders, especially some shareholders who are absolutely insane, put in the amount of effort to prove it, you're kind of screwed, Hasbro.
True. Now, to be clear here, all of this is allegedly. The lawsuit has been filed. It has to go through the court system. But yeah, I mean, if you have the evidence to go this far, I would assume you have some decent evidence to prove it in court.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like, they have to believe that the cost of the legal battle will be beneficial to them profit-wise in the long run.
Yeah. I mean, and a lot of times when you do this type of lawsuit, you get to have discovery, right? Where you get to request things. So if they don't have the evidence now, then maybe they have a line on where they know they can find it. And then we'll see. We'll see.
Yep. We will indeed.
Oh. Right. Well, speaking of shareholders in the stock market. Good old Ubisoft. You haven't been in the news for anything good in a while. And that trend does not change as Ubisoft's stock crashed again. It plummeted 33% in a single day on January 22nd, reaching a 14-year low, which, keep in mind, is a new low from when they had to sell to Tencent of about four and a third pounds. That's or euros, apologies. Which is within the same realm of $1, give or take, what, 15%, something like that. This now represents a 95 or 96% decline from 2018.
Man, where did they go wrong, Plague?
Oh man, there's so many ways they went wrong. We'll get I mean, let's see, off the top of my head, not staying true to what made their game series good, becoming stagnant and making the same game but not in the same good way that you used to make them. So just overall churning out nothing new but also at a worse product level. That's where I would describe that.
Filling your game with insufferable amounts of microtransactions.
Oh, insufferable amount of microtransactions and grindy BS. So, not only do you want me to nickel and dime me for all kinds of things, you also want me to, the most famous example, go find 500 feathers. Like, why?
I think that's worse than classic World of Warcraft quests.
Dude, there were so many fetch quests, so many find the random thing quests, so many samey things. Go take out, look, it was fun the first couple of games, but by the 5th game where you want me to take out 25 checkpoints, it's all the same. Like, you make me do the same thing over and over and over and over again with no uniqueness. You're copying and pasting buildings on a road the whole time.
Yep.
Oh man, just lost any sort of inspiration. I know, I could go on. I used to love so many Ubisoft games. They fell so fucking hard. So hard. All right. So Ubisoft is reorganizing into 5 specialized creative houses designed to operate as independent business units with full financial and creative accountability. So, Creative House 1, Vantage Studios, will be tasked with turning Ubisoft's top-tier franchises, Assassin's Creed, Far Cry, Rainbow Six, into, quote, annual billionaire brands, end quote. Which,
Like only billionaires can purchase them now?
I mean,
Or
maybe they're going for just the whales. Yeah.
like, is this a Far Cry? Not Far Cry. God, is this a Borderlands 4 situation?
Yo, dude, what if legitimately they spend like $100 million on a game and like are only willing to sell it to billionaires, like as some exclusivity luxury brand BS? Where, I mean, could that be a legit strategy? Like the elites will be like, wait, this is a game the poors can't buy. Oh man, maybe it
The
is
poors.
worth the $2 million a copy. Like maybe I have to buy this.
Oh god. To be honest, though, knowing the way that the whole games industry has gone, they'll sell a copy of a game for $2 million, but they'll only have spent 10,000 on it. Right? They're gonna flip it. Yeah, exactly.
Oh gosh, it's an asset flip. That would be hilarious.
That would be hilarious. Holy.
Oh man. I would imagine they're referring to like Call of Duty, or Call of Duty, Madden, FIFA, which I don't quite understand how, like, this directly leads to poor games. You couldn't even make the same game good enough every 3 years. I don't understand how you think you're going to make it every year.
Yep.
On top of that, Call of Duty does it by having a handful of studios work on different titles. So it's not even a single creative house working on one title that's releasing every year. So I don't know how you're planning on doing that. And if your example is Call of Duty, Madden, FIFA, notoriously, no one thinks those are cutting edge games. Like, literally, most of those titles sell because of the licensed branding. And then the other one sells because it's an established franchise with a specific gameplay loop that people have become accustomed to and go back to. And even then, consumers are feeling the fatigue of that one as well. You can look at how hard that is to do, because EA can't even do it with an established shooter franchise. They can't do an annual Battlefield release. They can barely get one Battlefield release done correctly, and even then, after it came up, they screwed it up so badly with microtransactions and lost all the goodwill that they garnered for releasing a good product. So this makes zero sense to me. There is no evidence or markers that anything can be successful. There are a couple very specific cases. So this boggles my mind. This just shows me that leadership is out of touch and has zero idea what they're doing.
I mean, that's been the case for a very long while.
I mean, you're not wrong. Just makes it even more obvious. I guess add another log to the fire.
A log? I'm pretty sure they're just pouring gasoline at this point.
Burn, baby, burn.
Like you already tanked your company by 96% in 8 years. What's another 4?
Get rid of the other 4%.
Yeah, just go bankrupt and go away at this point.
I mean, what's gonna happen is Tencent's just gonna go full on purchase and then produce titles.
Yeah,
under Tencent is what's gonna happen.
I mean, I know there's a lot of flack from Tencent in general, but every game that I have played that Tencent has a hand in any way has generally been pretty good.
Yeah, you know why? Because people tend to spend money on microtransactions in good games.
Yeah.
And a lot of Tencent games have a lot of microtransactions. And lo
Yeah.
and behold, they make a lot of money on those microtransactions because, again, they tend to be in good games.
Exactly. Like League of Legends, for example. Riot Games is entirely owned by Tencent. Surprise, surprise if you didn't know that. Like, easily the best esport in the world. It's a good game. I've probably spent more than 10 grand on that game. It's insane for a free game.
Oh, 100%. But that's the point. People are going to be willing to spend money on your game if it's a good game, which is, I don't understand how such a ridiculous foreign concept on any of this. I don't get it.
I think a large part of the problem is, look, the ones that are listed here as Ubisoft's top tier franchises, they do not lend themselves very well to microtransactions. If you put a microtransaction in my single player Assassin's Creed game, I'm going to scream.
Yep.
Right? They did it in God of War. I wanted to scream. I don't think God of War was Ubisoft, but regardless.
Yeah, it was Sony. But still, it was ridiculous that it was in there. Yeah, because you're removing the traditional unlocks that used to exist in the game that you could put into the game and making them separate. If you gave me a great catalog of unlockable stuff and also added microtransaction stuff, I wouldn't be happy, but at least I wouldn't be upset. But the problem is they're not even doing that. It's, here's a couple generic skins / unlocks, everything else is purchase.
I mean, I don't think that single player games in general lend themselves to microtransactions. Some exceptions of that are gacha games.
Yeah.
But that's because that's the way that they are literally designed.
Exactly.
And that's the thing that people like. I don't know why, but it is.
I agree with you. I mean, and like, again, I'm not advocating for microtransactions, but if you could give me late 2000s level of unlocks in my game and then decided to add DLC microtransactions later, I wouldn't be so upset. I would be like, okay, like, at least you gave me enough stuff to begin with that was worth my money paying it before asking me for more money.
Yeah, I mean, a great example of that is grinding gear games, right? With Path of Exiles. Now, granted, the original Path of Exiles is way overly complex and needs to die in a fire. However, Path of Exiles 2 has, it's significantly more simplified while still keeping that complexity for the people who like theory crafting. But it does still have a ton of microtransactions despite being in an early access. But at the exact same time, grinding gear games didn't absolutely, kill off their entire player base by going to a second version of the game and telling them all those things that you have in the first version, buy them again. No, they actually transferred all of the microtransaction purchases that you did in game 1 and pushed them over to game 2.
I mean, that's above and beyond. You did not need to do that. That is awesome.
And any current purchases that you make in 1 go to 2.
That's awesome.
And vice versa.
That's a good way to do it. That's someone that cares about their consumer base and keeping them around and offering them value. I think is the biggest thing here is give me value.
Meanwhile,
are you providing me a good gameplay loop? Great. Are you providing me a good narrative experience? Great. Are you providing me enough to occupy my time with the game? Awesome. I feel like you have to give me 2 out of those 3 for me to want to buy a game. And I don't think Ubisoft has been offering. They've been barely offering 1, if none of them. So
exactly.
I don't know. Just to quickly go through these, Creative House 2 is going to be your generic shooters, apparently other than Rainbow Six, Division, Ghost Recon, Splinter Cell. Creative House 3, your apparently live service experiences. Oh god, I can't even go through this quickly. They're having a Creative House specifically for live services. This is ridiculous to me. They have For Honor, The Crew, Riders Republic, Brawlhalla, and Skull and Bones. I don't even understand how Skull and Bones is on here. That game tanked
Me neither.
so hard.
Yeah.
Like, if you make a studio specifically with the focus of making live service games, you have lost the plot.
Yeah.
That's
if that's what you happen to fall into.
Game. What's that?
If that's what you happen to fall into later on in the seniority of your studio, sure, right? Example, Blizzard.
Yeah, no, 100%. If the game lends itself to being a live service game, that is one thing. But if you're going at it from the mindset of we make live service games and then figure out what game you are going to make into a live service game, that's where you're not going to succeed. You need to design the game and let the game be what it's going to be. I mean, that's the whole point of, we talked about the origin of Arc Raiders. Arc Raiders never had PvP, but they understood that their game was not going to do as well without the social and PvP element. They said it was boring. It wasn't as interesting. So they pivoted into the design, and lo and behold, they now have made a buttload of money on a game that was successful because the game became what it needed to be.
Well, and on top of that, they also kind of intentionally split their player base, right? They have a system in that game. I don't know what people call it, but I call it the bloodthirsty system. That if
Might as
you
well just call it the vampire system.
Right. But if you kill other players, that racks up and you get matched with people who kill other players. If you don't kill other players, you get matched with people who don't tend to kill other players.
True. It's not foolproof, and you're never going to be guaranteed to not be against an aggressive player, which is where the interesting element comes from. But that's good game design. Hey, you want all action? Here's other players that want all action. Hey, you don't want as much action? We can't guarantee it, but here's a less aggressive experience, more likely than not for you. That's just good game design. But what it shows is they let the game be what it needed to be. They didn't force it into a box one way or the other. They didn't force people into a PvP box. They didn't force people into a PvE box. They let the game be what it needed to be. And to me, having an entire creative studio with the sole purpose of making live service games is ridiculous to me.
Well, and even that, like, these games, they don't have anything in common.
No.
So
that's a good point. That's a great point.
Like that's the difference with like other game studios. When they tend to make games, they tend to always make the same type of game, right? If it's a fantasy RPG style game, that's what they tend to make, right? If it's a shooter, that's what they tend to make. The Crew and For Honor are so wildly different games.
Well,
the people
I don't know Riders Republic off the top of my head, but For Honor, The Crew, Brawlhalla, which I'm pretty sure is a Smash Brothers type thing, and from like just hearing and seeing about it, and Skull and Bones, to your point, are all vastly different games. There is nothing that I can think of that connects those four titles.
Other than being a live service game.
Yeah.
Yeah, which, like, people who go into the gaming industry, to work in the gaming industry, to make games, they aren't interested in whether or not it's a live experience.
No,
what they care about is what they're making. And if you have one developer who you're bouncing between For Honor, The Crew, Brawlhalla, Skull and Bones, and Riders Republic, you're going to burn them out so fast. You're going to have years where they're working on the crew and they love cars in video games and they're going to absolutely love it. The next year, you're going to send them over to For Honor and they're going to be like, I don't even know what this game does.
Yeah. I mean, to your point, there is, and I'm going to kind of exclude its recent fall from grace, but let's take Call of Duty for an example. There is a reason that you can't just make a new Call of Duty. And we did his kind of, life retrospective, but the the gentleman that was the father of Call of Duty, who then went on to do Apex, Vince Zampella on to do Apex, and then obviously the most recent Battlefield reboot, which, by the way, numbers started tanking after he went away. So I think the point here is that you have people that have a specialization. They know the secret sauce for the thing that they're good at. And to your point, you can pivot to something else and that team can still do well. But the more likely scenario is they don't know the secret sauce for the type of game that they're moving into. So that's what I'm thinking, that they do need to just have a team that is more focused.
Yeah, exactly. Like that's like a big reason that when a new MMO becomes like in development, they usually mention, hey, this person worked on EverQuest 2, they worked on, World of Warcraft back in yeah, exactly, RuneScape, they've worked on Guild Wars 2, so on and so forth, right? That's because that's the type of game that they are good at. They have that specialty.
Yeah.
So
100%.
And it's not even just like MMOs, right? It's MMORPGs specifically. Because if someone was like, oh yeah, I worked on Eve, I don't want you working on World of Warcraft, please go away.
Yeah, I think you can expand this problem even into the next one. The next creative house, which is supposed to be narrative and fantasy. You're looking at Anno, Might and Magic, Rayman, Prince of Persia, and Beyond Good and Evil, which is supposedly still coming. Beyond Good and Evil 2 announced like 15 years ago now, like supposedly still coming.
Sure, but
because we'll get into it. Keep in mind they canceled like a bunch of games, and this one was not one of them. But to your point, like Anno is in no way the same as Rayman. Like,
yeah, exactly. Like it would be one thing if you had a studio dedicated to Anno, right? All versions of Anno. That would make perfect sense. Hell, even 2 or 3 studios dedicated to that, because Anno is Anno, right?
I mean,
but
yeah,
like,
'cause you could do a studio that does Assassin's Creed and Prince of Persia and Beyond Good and Evil. Probably. You could probably lump those 3 together and be fine.
Yeah, I think that would be a better way of separating out your studios rather than, oh yeah, like Creative House 2 is their best one, right? In the fact that it's all shooters.
Yeah, that one makes
like,
sense.
That's their best example of an actually well-built or well-structured studio. The rest of them suck, except for, I don't know, maybe 5.
Yeah, 5 being Casual and Family, Just Dance, Uno Mobile, Hungry Shark. Those, I'm not sure you need somebody who wouldn't be able to pick up the Just Dance formula. Fine. As long as you keep a team that knows how to, make choreographed dances, I think you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. And then you just need a couple programmers and a couple of visual designers, and that's it.
Yeah.
Like you could probably just
Uno.
have.
You just need a couple programmers.
Yeah, exactly. You literally just set your interns on it. That's what Creative House 5 is. That's where they push all their interns.
You know what? You could call it the talent pipeline house. Like,
there you go.
People who excel in here, you can bring them on to one of the bigger boy studios. Yeah, I mean this just seems destined to fail all of this for multiple reasons that we've discussed. On top of this, 6 canceled games officially, including some higher profile titles like an in development Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake. Apparently 3 unannounced new IPs, which, yeah, nobody was clamoring for something new. Everyone said, no, give me the same thing. Please, that's what I want, Ubisoft. Don't make something new and unique and fun. And then after that, they delayed 7 titles. So a full restructuring, canceled some games, delayed a whole bunch of other games, and then also laid off people. So supposedly a closing of a few studios, along with 200 jobs cut at the headquartered, famous Paris studio, which is 18% of the workforce. It actually got so bad that apparently the union in Paris is voting on whether or not to strike in response. Yeah. Yep. Like, this just is catastrophe across the board. None of this is any sort of good news.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's Ubisoft. Like I said, what's another 4%?
Yeah, right. Alrighty. I think that's going to be it for Business and Econ. Let's get into Free Period. Alright, Free Period. We kind of do whatever we want in this period, and I've got a discussion here specifically, because it's about a more longer-term discussion about a game that's not coming out yet that announced. But I would like to take a step back, because you did mention about having a studio work on something that they're good at. I think we can recognize that if a studio does that long enough, there will be interest within the studio to do something new, do something a little bit of refresh, maybe a project that they were working on and off on the side until they bring it forward and the higher ups go, you know what? That's a really interesting concept. Let's go ahead and do that. And those can be successful. And I think one of them that looks good is a game that I almost would say would be tailor-made for Haru. It's going to be Game Freak of Pokemon fame, basically releasing the beast of their inner developer, as they announced a game called Beast of Reincarnation. Did you want to discuss it all?
Yeah, absolutely. So you told me, you were like, hey, go watch the trailer for this. I think it would be a great game specifically for you. And he was right. Surprise, surprise. He's known me for a while. At the end of the day, what this game really reminds me of is a bit of combination of Horizon, right?
Okay.
And like it's kind of just a general RPG. Now, granted, the fact that it's like one person, one dog action RPG, and that's the way that they're describing it, is absolutely hilarious. But
yeah, so Game Freak themselves described the game as, quote, one person, one dog action RPG, end quote. Which, honestly, if that's just the marketing campaign hook line, awesome.
Yeah.
Simple, straightforward, 100%. Unique.
It definitely is. And it looks like it would be pretty good. Now, the concept of it, the concept behind it is quite interesting. The things that throw me for a loop, though.
Okay. Do you want to give some background? You want me to give some background on what the game is?
Go for it.
So it's a supposedly a AAA action RPG set in 4026, so like 2,000 years from now, within a post-apocalyptic Japan overrun by, quote, blight, a parasitic plant that turns wildlife into hybrid monsters called Malefacts, is what I'm going to call them. Malefacts. The protagonist is Emma the Sealer. I love the name. An outcast Blightborn who has lost her memories and emotions but can manipulate plant life using her vine-like hair. And in the video, you can see her creating like bridges or using it for movement or attacking even. You're going to have a companion a Malfact dog that Emma was originally tasked to hunt, but instead formed a bond with, and he acts as her primary tactical partner. which to me indicates that you'll be able to bring in different either pets, partners, characters. So you'll have a set what sounds like a choice. The combat mechanics are going to have a tempo system, which will be a hybrid of real-time katana action is the way they described it, and then command-based strategy with your partner. You're going to have some parry synergies with different arts between your character and your partners. Tactical pauses where you can open a command menu and it'll slow down time, giving you the ability to issue commands. And it's supposed to be summer of 2026 this year on all the places, PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and will be a day one Xbox Game Pass title.
That last part is wild to me.
Apparently made a deal with Xbox. I wonder how much money they got.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of like the big thing, in my opinion, because like we've talked about it before. Xbox Game Pass titles, they do not tend to sell well.
Yep. I mean, you know what this seems like to me? Like overall?
What's up?
This seems like you've combined Horizon Zero Dawn / God of War Souls-like type game with Poison Ivy.
Poison Ivy. A little bit, yeah. Like looking at the terrain, the movement of the character, things like that. That's what kind of reminded me of Horizon, and the combat really does remind me of God of War quite a bit. That weird context command menu slowing down time thing, that's not done very well in a lot of games, so I would be very surprised if they succeed on it.
I liked it in Mass Effect. When you went to issue... I mean, that's fair. But in the combat of the Mass Effect games, when you went to issue... I don't know if it was in the first one, but at least in the later ones, when you went to issue commands to your partners, things would like slow down. It would never stopped, but things slow down a little bit while you issued a command, then you'd let go, and then, things would happen. Which was always really funny if bodies were like flying places from explosions.
Yeah. The only one that I can think of that had tried something like that, I think they did a full pause instead of a slowdown of time. But it was... Wow, my brain just not working today. Dragon Age.
Game? Dragon Age. Well, that's BioWare. That's Mass Effect fame.
Yeah. They did it in Dragon Age Inquisition.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it was the first one that they had.
Dragon Age games.
Well, to an extent, it was really bad when it first came out, and then it got better.
Fair. And hindsight is everything, right?
Right. Yeah. That's true. But yeah, like I didn't like the system personally, so hopefully I can opt out of said system, or it's really good and I'm not sitting there in a command menu for 5 seconds between every strike of my katana. That would be tedious.
I mean, so I don't know if it was an Inquisition, but in Mass Effect 2, I think specifically is the one I'm thinking of, you had the option to issue orders manually, or and it was in the settings, or you had the option to tell the game to just let the characters do what they wanted. And
yeah, you could do the same thing.
Issue it manually, but if the characters were doing what they wanted, like their powers were on cooldown anyways, so like it didn't really matter.
Yeah. Well,
so,
it was,
it depends on how they execute it, right? Like,
for sure.
If it's an ability that's got long cooldowns and that lasts for a little while, then it's not really going to matter because I'm not necessarily clicking it all the time. If I have to what you were saying, constantly issue commands where I'm pausing constantly, that's going to be annoying.
Yeah, and not only that, I really hope that there's like some pretty simple shortcuts, right? Where it's something stupid easy, like hold left bumper and you have like a radial menu and you just like throw your stick off to one side and that just instantly issues the command. Right? Something like that would be sick. But something where I have to like hold the left bumper and then go up and down a list of shit, I don't want it. Get it out.
I mean, hopefully it'll be radial, where I can
I hope so.
open a button and either joystick or mouse just go dun, 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 to pick a corner.
Yeah,
but
I agree.
We'll see. I mean,
I love the fact that it's set in Japan. I'll be honest.
Yeah, so I make the joke about Poison Ivy, but like the character does not look that way at all. It was just more along the lines of like, nature controlling powers that she has.
Yeah. The vine-like hair,
looks like
for sure.
Really cool traditional Japanese style warrior, and then the settings are gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. I don't know of another game that is based in Japan that is also post-apocalyptic.
Yeah, I'd have to think about that one.
I would too.
Yeah, because I was about to say a game set in Japan. I'm like, there's plenty of them. I mean, literally, there's been some great, like, quote unquote, samurai games. Well, not necessarily Assassin's Creed, but some great other samurai games that have come out in the last 5 years. But no, not post-apocalyptic. But I'm a sucker for post-apocalyptic stuff. So
me too.
This looks great. I love that it has a more somewhat unique setting and kind of outlook, because I'm also like the Poison Ivy type nature controlling powers I haven't seen done well from a main character controlling perspective. So that could be fun. I'd be cool with that. The ability to have some sort of platforming elements associated with those powers could go one of two ways. It can either be interesting, a la the Prey remake, where you've got the goo gun that you can make your own kind of way to get around, or it could be tedious and boring, as it's clearly an obvious spot where I have to use this ability to get past, or it's an artificial block until I upgrade an ability and then I can get past, which just annoy me to no end.
I mean, yeah, let's leave the artificial blocking to Metroidvania games, okay? Thanks.
Yeah. Dude, don't get me wrong. The God of War Ragnaroks and recent setting God of War games were great games. But the thing that absolutely drove me nuts was the old school, I have to trek back to an area because I couldn't get past one thing because I didn't have the power yet. It drives me nuts.
That's literally the Metroidvania
100%
formula. And like it works in Metroidvanias because they're simple, they're fast paced, you generally have good feeling movement, and generally they're also 2D, right? Or like 2.5D at max. In a 3D world, it feels tedious as hell. You're either just fast traveling everywhere to solve the problem, or you're running forever. Because they try and implement that same Metroidvania feel where you have to go back to the older places to unlock these new things, but they also try and keep the open world, gigantic world feel.
I was just about to say, if you have a true 3D open world game, I can understand some of those elements where you can go anywhere on the map. That's fine. God of War gave you the illusion of an open world, when in reality it was a linear game, and so to me it just never felt good. Now again, I'm nitpicking, those are great games, but that specific aspect was annoying to me.
Oh yeah, very fair.
So, let's hope it doesn't do that. Let's hope it's something more creative and robust way to figure out unique traversal, which I would enjoy. If you want to see the game yourself, there was actually a 10-minute deep dive in, I believe, like the Xbox Developer Direct showcase. So you could go check out that 10-minute video. I look forward to this. This looks cool. Apparently, it's going to have a story mode, so if you don't feel like you're good in any of the game genres we talked about, don't worry. You can pick up the game and apparently play it in story mode. We'll see. I mean, this is a great opportunity. I mean, I think 2019 was the last time that Game Freak did a non-Pokemon type game. So it's been quite a while for them. So I look forward to whatever this entails, assuming it's a decent game. Alrighty, I think that's enough for free period. Let's get into civics and sociology. All right, taking a look at some of the aspects of our community or even the institutions, specifically Valve, as we already discussed in a previous week, is actually is being sued. So a class action lawsuit has been filed against them in the UK. To be clear here, this is not a lawsuit from the UK government. It is filed by a specific individual intent to be a class action lawsuit, including any consumers in the UK that bought something off of the Steam store. And let's get into their accusations, Haro, because you're gonna laugh.
Yeah.
So
probably.
it is set to kind of start. It started a couple of days ago with the UK Appeal Tribunal granting collective proceeding order, basically allowing the case to move forward to a full trial, rejecting Valve's attempts to get the whole thing dismissed. It covers 14 million UK consumers seeking up to £656 million in damages for anti-competitive behavior since 2018. So what are those allegations? Platform parity obligations is the first one, claiming Valve used a most favored nation clause that prevented publishers from selling games cheaper on other platforms like Epic Game Store or Good Old Games. I don't see it. I mean, we talked about the possibility existing, but it only ever came up in annoyed emails. Not giving Valve the opportunity to either have same price or lower price on Steam. There's been nothing in which this has existed, no evidence at least that we've seen, where they are doing this on any sort of official level.
Right.
Not to mention, pretty sure that you can buy Steam keys not on Steam.
Yep. Which there's a bit more on that later.
Yeah. So, locked in additional content. It is argued that Valve uses anti-steering provisions, forcing consumers who own a game on Steam to buy all the DLC and in-game items through Steam's API, ensuring Valve gets a commission on every microtransaction. We will come back to this one. This one throws me through such a hard loop. And then inflated pricing. The suit claims that Steam's 30% commission is an unfair price that's passed on to consumers, making PC games more expensive in the UK than they would truly be in a competitive market. I want to address this one first, because this is the easiest one to be like, wow, you're insane. Is Microsoft and Sony in this lawsuit?
Yeah, for real though.
Because both of those platforms, for any game that comes out on PlayStation or Xbox. Now, if I'm wrong, please write it in the comments, but I'm pretty sure it's a 30% standard cut.
Pretty sure.
They take.
Yep.
So, unless you're including Sony and Microsoft and regular game companies in this, then this claim is already ridiculous and should be chucked. I would also say that they base it on passing the prices on to consumers, when they themselves already admitted to games being cheaper on Steam in one of their other complaints. So, are games more expensive or are they cheaper? Because they can't be both. So, if one of these is correct, then you're lying about the other one.
Pretty much.
So, this, from start to finish, this claim is dumb. The party or platform parity obligation is ridiculous because, as I mentioned earlier, you can sell Steam keys. So Valve argues that, the claim fails because Steam keys exist. Developers can generate thousands of keys for free, and they can sell those on any third-party site, including the very famous Humble Bundle, which is a very successful platform that people constantly pick up stuff on, without Valve taking any commission. So,
yeah, I mean, like, what do you want? You can sell it anywhere. That third-party site could be your own website.
True. You can sell those keys. You're basically saying, hey, I'm putting my game on your platform. There is a fee for that, but once you do that, you can sell those keys where you want. Obviously, Valve would, I assume, ask you to do it on their store, but you don't have to. There's nothing contractually obligated there for you to do so. I think the other thing that I wanted to get into is because I kind of touched on a lot of these other ones where you can get stuff, prices, all that kind of stuff. I wanted to go into the locked in content. So if I buy an Xbox game, can I go buy that DLC from Sony for my Xbox game?
I mean, if Sony designed it in such a stupid way that you could, possibly. But it's idiotic. It's 100% idiotic when the reality is that there are plenty of ways to sell in-game content through your game, and Steam cannot get a cut. I'll give an example. World of Tanks is on Steam. You can easily buy gold from Steam or from World of Tanks, and none of that money goes to Steam. You can buy tanks in the game with that gold that you just spent. Steam doesn't get shit.
Rocket League isn't even available on Steam anymore. Anyone that owned it can still play it, but Rocket League isn't even available on Steam. If I went onto my Xbox and bought, or just Epic Game Store, take your pick, anywhere where Rocket League is playable, I can go buy in-game Rocket League currency in any of those stores, come back to play it on Steam, and it's still there for me to use.
Yeah.
Like, it's like this, and again, I still find this ridiculous, though, because it's DLC. If you bought the game on a platform, the expectation that you can buy add-ons for that game anywhere else is ridiculous. If you have the ability to do so, that's awesome, but to have that expectation is absolutely asinine.
Now, I do think that it would probably be acceptable to ask for, I don't know, maybe a smaller cut from Steam. But I also
DLC
don't know.
I mean, sure.
Yeah, but I also don't know all the inner workings of what it takes and what it is. It could be a smaller cut. Who knows?
But it's still ridiculous because no one is expecting a game purchase on Xbox to be able to buy your DLC anywhere else, or a game purchase on Sony to be able to buy your DLC anywhere else. No one's making any of those expectations. Like, this whole thing from start to finish is absolutely ridiculous to me.
I mean, it's even worse in the fact that they're trying to specifically target them as a monopoly, which we literally discussed last week that they aren't.
Yep. And we won't get into that again, but go listen to last week's, because we literally just had this conversation as this whole story and lawsuit came up, which made me chuckle, and is one of the reasons why I added it. Oh, man. Yeah, and I think, by the way, that amount of money based off of the 14 million people averages out to 22 to 44 pounds per person. So,
nice.
Yeah, everyone would be rolling in the dough. I think we'll go on to our last segment, which would be Lab. Friday, we're going to analyze some recent releases, specifically Monster Hunter Wilds new update, which apparently does better. No, I'm kidding. We're not getting into that this week. But the update did come out. Apparently, it looks like it does things a little better. Go check that out for yourself. No, we're getting into the Highguard Conundrum, is what I'm going to call it. because it did actually release. You know, from all the speculation about what was going to happen with it, is it vaporware? Is it actually going to come out? It did actually come out, Haru. Have you tried it?
No.
Yeah. Oh man. So, I kind of want to get into the reception a little bit first, and then give a little bit of the backstory. So it actually came out on the 26th. Because of all the hype and all the controversy, it actually got up to 97,000 concurrent players. And then within an hour had mostly negative reviews. They had removed the description on the Steam page saying from the creators of Apex Legends and Titanfall. That got removed. And it was marred by various launch issues, including server problems. And then, like, I saw someone talking about a matchmaking problem where if someone dropped out of a pre-made match game, so like if it brought in all 6 players, which by the way, game's 3-on-3, all 6 players and one person left, it would never complete the lobby. So you just stayed on 5 out of 6 surging without anything finishing ever. There are accusations of review bombing. However, if you look at a lot of the reviews, a lot of them are based off of performance. And unfortunately, the game being a little bit buggy and boring. So one of the wildest things that I saw and was validated is that there is no FOV setting option. However, if you decide to plug in and use a controller, it actually zooms out your FOV and gives you a wider FOV. Yeah.
What are you guys doing?
Wild. That is insane. Can't just your FOV, but if you're on controller, you get better FOV.
Can you plug in a controller and then use your keyboard and mouse?
I don't know. I did not test that. That would be interesting if you plug in a controller and it backs it out. I would assume, because I saw someone plug in a controller and then it zoomed out, that if the input went back to mouse and keyboard, so if you started using mouse and keyboard without doing any inputs on the controller, I assume it would zoom back in as it detected the mouse and keyboard now being used.
I doubt it.
I don't know. I mean, it automatically backs out when you plug in the controller, even if you were just using a mouse and keyboard.
Right, but that could be a simple if-then statement, right? Because your mouse and keyboard are still plugged in.
You're not wrong, but they aren't the active input, as you see on a lot of games.
If you plug in the controller, it has not been active yet either.
To be fair, it's video of the game. So
yeah.
I don't know if it's actively changed when he plugged it in or whether or not he pressed an initial button. So you could be right. I don't know either way on that one.
Still ridiculous. Put an FOV slider. Even Minecraft has it. Figure it out.
It's not that. It's kind of like a standard setting to have.
Yes, I'm aware.
Anyways, apparently fake resolutions. So players are discovering that the game renders at 80% of the selected resolution. So if you wanted 4K, you're getting 3072 by 1728, unless you change the post-processing quality to high. Then it'll give you the actual resolution.
What? Why?
I don't know. Some other ridiculous things. The game has forced mouse acceleration, meaning that no matter what you do, if you go slow, your mouse moves a little bit. And if you go fast, your mouse moves an indeterminate amount of distance. It will move. You just don't know exactly how much it's going to move. And you can't turn it off.
Literally, how do you accidentally or intentionally force that into your game? How? That has to be an option you specifically turned on.
I don't know. My guess with the rest of this stuff, including FOV is they designed it for console, and then at the last minute, we're like, let's put it on PC. And they didn't have any of these things in the console version because you don't need mouse acceleration option in the console version. So it's probably going off of like a default Windows state or something.
I wonder if it's based on time of input. Right? Or if they actually just converted the mouse controls to be joystick controls. Because, like, if you go slightly to the left on a joystick, it moves slow.
So you
if
mean
you
convert joystick controls into mouse inputs?
Yeah. Right? That would be ridiculously cringe.
Honestly, I could see it. You might be onto something there. That could legitimately be a thing that's happening.
That's insane.
Yeah. And it doesn't stop there. There's no setting to toggle crouch. So there's, I think it was you have to hold the crouch. So there was no option to actually change it to toggle. So if you wanted to crouch, it was always holding the crouch button. That just wasn't an option to change it, which again seems like a standard thing to have. And you couldn't toggle motion blur off.
I would just uninstall the game right there.
A lot of people did, and that's where a lot of those bad reviews with low playtime came from, is like this type of stuff where it's not changeable and it's ridiculous, so they're like, nope.
Do developers not realize that motion blur is like the one option that you could just never turn, like you could just never put it into a game and it'd be fine?
If you wanted it for narrative aesthetics on a single player game, fine. Do not put it in any sort of competitive co-op or PvP game. It just is not needed. And if you're going to put it in because you want it to look cool on trailers and all that kind of stuff, give me the option. Just make sure that option is in there, because as Haru and I both do, we just go turn it off.
It's the first thing I do. Friggin' I check FOV because I generally play above 100.
Yep.
Same. Right? I'm one of those 120 players.
I'm not that wide. I'm like,
I know you're not.
110.
But like even on Minecraft, I play in Quake Pro mode. It's ridiculous. And anything else makes me motion sick. I don't get it. I don't understand.
Fishbowl makes me.
I don't know.
That's what makes me sick.
No.
You're weird.
I don't know. Don't ask me. Okay, but like, yeah, like turn that off, and then turn off depth of field. That's the other one. Literally,
to be fair,
turn that the hell off.
Depth of field is a performance setting as well for people with lower hardware.
Sure.
So, give me the option, absolutely, but I do understand why that sometimes needs to be enabled on lower setting.
Yeah, so the problem is, for me, I'm a World of Warcraft MMO player, so the majority of the time when I'm staring at my monitor, I'm staring at the top third of my monitor. Right? Or at least the top half.
That's fair.
That's where depth of field blurs the most. And it drives me insane.
I mean, WoW isn't also the most intensive game.
It's gotten up there, but yeah.
But for me, outside of depth of field, it's film grain. I absolutely hate film grain. Again, single player narrative experience, whatever. Hate it for any sort of PvP. And then chromatic aberration. I like the god rays blinding me as I'm trying to see players and stuff. Drive
the other thing
nuts.
In lens flare.
Yeah.
Make it go away, man.
Isn't that chromatic aberration? Isn't that the...
It might be.
The lens
flare? Be built into it.
But yeah, either way, definitely none of that. Outside of that, I had 2042 flashbacks as I was looking at gameplay and watching some people play gameplay, because it is a 3-on-3 mode, and apparently the maps are kind of large. And so the reason I said 2042 flashbacks is because they made very large maps in 2042, and one of my biggest complaints on the full-size maps is you could go so long doing nothing and not seeing anybody. And apparently that is also an issue here, is that the maps are so big that you could be doing looting and walking around and not do any fighting. So
okay.
Yeah. So a subpar kind of boring gameplay loop, and then some bugs on top of like standard server problems. I'm not really going to fault them for that when other games also have that. It's not unique to them. Although it's
Yeah.
disappointing to see, it's not unique to them. These weird settings and glitches are definitely unique to them. So what I'm getting at, and we'll come back to this seems like uh, a game with some glaring flaws, but ultimately is just meh outside of that,
Yeah.
which is fine. From everything that I've seen, it doesn't inherently look like a bad game. So, if we go back to kind of a disconnect between reality and what actually happened, the creative director of Jason McCord admitted they were blindsided by the negative reaction because they were caught up in the moment. Quote, I don't know, not really. We were very excited that night. We were all at the party at the Game Awards. We were all partying at the Game Awards party, pardon me. Afterwards, we were just excited to get the game out there, which is a fine statement. This is a big moment for your studio. Your game's being shown for essentially the first time because the plan was to shadow drop this game. So initially they wanted to do an Apex Legends style where the game just came out with no warning, which in hindsight, I think would have been better. The CEO, Dusty Welch, admitted that I wish Highguard had been received better. Part of that's on us, right? We didn't put our heads in the sand. He confessed that they made, quote, the wrong trailer, end quote, choosing entertainment over educating players on what the mechanics were, and regretted going for dark for 2 months after the reveal. All of that is true. I pointed out that my hopes were that this unique looking game would have a spot in the industry, although obviously Haru said it and I, acquiesced that I didn't think that that would actually happen. But the hope was that it had, with this unique look to it, that it would exist. But none of that, what they showed, made me think that this was going to be a 3v3 game on massive maps. None of that was indicated. I think this is very true, basically what it's saying here, and at least it's got some good self-reflection. Also on top of that, lead designer Carlos Pineda was doubling down, saying it always comes down to the fact that we had a game that you couldn't find anywhere else, so we felt very confident in that. And then this was in regards to someone commenting about it being a hero shooter with some of the fatigue existing.
But like, I can find garbage anywhere.
Well, see, here's the thing. I don't even think it's garbage. I think it's utterly meh. I don't think this is a good game. I don't think it's a bad game. I think it's a meh game with some problems that are easily fixable, mind you. FOV, easily fixable. This resolution thing, easily fixable. Mouse acceleration, easily fixable. All of that's easily fixable. The game itself is just meh, and I think that's where this problem comes from. I think he hit it on the head with the trailer, and specifically Jeff Keighley building this game up to heights that it should have never been. Putting it in that last slot where the expectation was for something amazing and crazy did this game a disservice right from the beginning. And I think his follow-up, which was just filled with antagonizing people online, to the point where people started wondering, is he getting paid under the table? Like, does he have some deal with the fucking studio? Which, by the way, he did comment on a post saying absolutely not. So I'm not saying that that has happened. But, like, all indications pointed to that being the case. Like, he defended the game from day one with the trailers, which if he had high hopes for the game, you could do that in a much different way, especially if you had seen it behind the scenes, which it's indicated that he did. But he was posting articles from Polygon calling it one of the best new shooters in years, which it's obviously not. And on top of that, he posted a tweet a couple days before the game came out saying, I'll be accepting your apologies in 48 hours. Like, it's just him setting expectations way too high and then antagonizing people every step of the way.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, honestly, if I were the developers, I get being excited for the exposure, but I would be so upset with Jeff Keighley. Like, there's
Oh yeah.
like, I think this game shadow dropping, you might not have made as much money, so they may have ended up making more money than they would have otherwise. But I think the game would have been much better received. People could have gone in with very low expectations and going, oh, I can see this game getting better over time. Right now, it's just so-so, but I could see it getting better over time. But, I mean, we're not going to do... None of that's going to happen now. It's going to go down in history as an overhyped, very boring, if not because of how the expectation's bad. I mean, but for me, I relate this to, because the Video Game Awards is literally a big budget production that talks about the best games of the year, followed up with high profile game trailers, right? So I'm going to equate that to somebody making/buying you a 5-course meal, right? So you're getting at a really nice restaurant, you're getting all this amazing food, delicious, you're stuffing your face with high quality stuff. And then at the end, they bring out a box of King Soopers chocolate chip cookies. Like, you're like, I mean, these King Soopers chocolate chip cookies are fine. Like, there's nothing wrong with them. Like, I'll definitely eat one. But after everything else, this is now just disappointing. Like, why would you bring out this store-bought generic chocolate chip cookie to accompany my $700 5-course meal?
Yep. I'm kind of amazed that you didn't go with like Breyer's vanilla ice cream.
I mean, also that's a good one too. Yeah, just some bare bones vanilla ice cream in a bowl, nothing special. Even when you ask, you're like, "Well, is this made in house?" They go, "No, it's Breyer's. We have the container in the freezer." Like,
Yep.
So, like, I honestly feel bad for these developers who were very excited about their game, who could have had something unique, or at least built on what they had eventually to make something worth playing, and it'll just never happen now. It'll go down as a mediocre to bad game that was overhyped.
Well, and the worst part about it too, like you said, they probably made a ton more money with this method, but they've now killed their reputation.
Yes.
So they are now in the timeline that God, what is that game? Why can I not think of games today? Thank you. Why did you know that? That's a better question. Why did you know that?
I can see into your brain hole.
Perfect. Fix it, please. Thanks. While you're in there. But yeah, like they're now in the timeline of No Man's Sky, where they now need to claw back respect by effectively performing a bunch of maintenance and updates and everything with no expectation of success. Like, that's how No Man's Sky and their developers got respect back.
And for free, mind you. No Man's Sky gave out a lot of those big content updates for free.
Correct. And that's exactly the timeline that they are in now. Whereas before, they could have been in a timeline of, we dropped it, it's not perfect, but our early adopters, people who really like the concept, they are telling us how to improve it. They're giving us feedback. We have the time before it blows up and a streamer finds it or something. We have the time to fix these things.
Yeah. No,
but
I think
you also could have just released it in early access, just saying.
I think that would have been the better option. I mean, the thing that they would have done very well on would have been something like the finals. Now, the finals was a much better product at the time of release than this is. But I saw like a trailer for the finals a while before it came out, and then almost nothing until it kind of was playable. And it wasn't really on anybody's radar. Came out, They kept improving in the game, and keep in mind this is Embark, the same studio that did Arc Raiders, and eventually became a popular game. It never hit crazy numbers, but it consistently had a big enough user base for people to be interested and find lobbies and play the game. They were selling DLC. They were making money from it. So you could have gone that route and it would have been good. I don't really have anything else to say about it other than a unique story surrounding it that I don't understand why it existed or happened. Do you know this story, Haru? Did you want to talk about it?
I don't know the story, but I see the name on it and I'm just not surprised.
So, yeah, I mean, this game with all the hype around it, they had a Highguard kind of launch event in LA with a preview with a lot of streamers. They invited people out, as you do nowadays. And Dr. Disrespect posted a completely fabricated Highguard launch event badge, indicating that he had gone to the event. And then, because of the way he was acting and talking, people started saying, "Hey, did you really go?" And eventually the Highguard creator manager confirmed that he wasn't invited. So
that's the best.
This blows my mind because this is something that's easily verified. And that this is the streamer community. Someone's not going to see this and just be like, this doesn't matter. People are going to get hyper focused on this and figure out whether or not you went. And again, something easily verified. So you're going to be found out. And it's for Highguard. This is the event you're going to do this for? I'm sure there's plenty of events you're not invited to that are way bigger than this, and this is
right.
the event you're gonna do it for.
Yeah, like
and
TwitchCon.
Of course, what's that?
They said, yeah, like TwitchCon.
Like TwitchCon. Oh my gosh. Throwback. Later, of course, Dr. Disrespect, being the man that you can't really separate the personality from, joked that, or he later claimed it was a joke to poke fun at the industry, adding to the chaotic mess that was this Highguard launch.
He should change his name.
To what?
Dr. Walkback.
How about Dr. Moonwalk then?
Yeah, that'll work. I don't know, man. He has a giant red flag on him, and he has for a while.
Both literally and figuratively.
Yes, literally and figuratively. But look, Twitch doesn't just remove that big of a streamer from their ecosystem without really good cause.
Yeah, without legal potential ramification type causes.
Yes. Yeah, 100%. Now, granted, they do have it in their streamer contract that they can just end business whenever, but at the exact same time, he was huge. There's no way.
He made a lot of money for them.
Yes, absolutely. There's absolutely no way that they would willingly forcefully drop him without a valid reason.
I mean,
and the fact that that reason has yet to come out means that it was settled in court and a hush-hush agreement was put out on both sides.
True. 100%. Well, allegedly. But
allegedly.
I don't want to say true 100%. I think getting sued myself.
True 100% allegedly.
Yeah. It was 100% allegedly true. Anyways. Yeah, I mean, this comes from what I would call an unstable person who has issues. It's easy to throw out the joke defense when you've been caught. If you're gonna do that, set up a gotcha where then you can reveal on stream that you had planned the whole thing from the start, waiting for people to find out. There's all kinds of ways where you could do this to make it an actual thing rather than oh, I got caught. It's a joke, bro. It's a joke.
It's just a joke, bro. Yeah,
it's
exactly.
It's a joke, bro. Yeah. If you like Dr. Disrespect, leave a comment. Tell me why you like Dr. Disrespect. I don't. I'm not a fan of his. So I don't know what the appeal is other than a bombastic, ridiculous personality, I guess. So if you like Dr. Disrespect, leave a comment. Tell me why you like Dr. Disrespect. Outside of that, I think the only other thing I could mention is that Highguard already has a year one roadmap. I'm sick of seeing roadmaps for games that are under 24 hours out, let alone like a month or two. You're what is it? You're pulling the cart before the horse or something. What's that phrase?
Yeah, putting the cart before the horse.
Thank you. So I wish these would stop, but they're not going to. Here's just another example of it. All right.
Pretty
I think
much.
that's all we have for today, though.
Indeed.
All right, people. Close your books, pack those bags. That's all we have time for this week and today. And after this course, if you're going to go buy a drone, please do not use it for peeping purposes, whether or not it's at a game studio or anywhere else. Don't do it. Just go about your day. Go play a game. Go play a good game instead. We hope you enjoy your time off and look forward to your participation in the next time. Peace.
See ya.